The farmers themselves, they don't even need to go to the lab. There are certain factors that we look at, and they'll be able to tell you that this soil is very fertile.
Mukukwankana na ba SIFAZ apale puida 5 years kuluba lifyo olwanji I think ilimbi mukasanganishita tractor.
Imilile kwena awe yana ni dimbwe mkwai. Tulalya fyo bwino.
Good soil management is a critical component in agriculture. Fertile soil guarantees good yields. For most farmers, soil fertility improvement is synonymous to inorganic or chemical fertilizer application. But enhancing soil fertility is much more than merely applying synthetic or chemical fertilizer. Different practices, both organic and inorganic, are available for improving soil health. Environmentally friendly and climate-smart agriculture technologies such as organic farming and conservation agriculture place emphasis on soil health improvement through practices such as conservation tillage, correct fertilizer and compost application, soil cover through residue retention, and cover crops like sun hemp and velvet beans, legume cereal rotations and intercropping, green manures, and fertilizer trees such as msangu and tephrosia. Adoption of 2 or more practices ensures sustained soil fertility enhancement. For instance, a farmer can apply compost and fertilizer, plant cereals in rotation with legumes, retain crop residues, and plant fertilizer trees to improve soil health. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, working with the Maize and Wheat Improvement Center, CIMIT, and the Ministry of Agriculture, is implementing a 4-year European Union-funded Sustainable Intensification of Smallholder Farming Systems in Zambia, SIFAZ project, in 27 districts of 5 provinces. SIFAZ aims at enhancing productivity and resilience of agricultural production while conserving the environment.
We are looking at sustainable intensification of the agricultural system. That basically means to produce more from limited land under production. This is where you keep land that is under cultivation, and that is where you produce more. And that obviously will attend to issues of climate change, because then you do not need to expand to go and cut down trees elsewhere so that you can produce more. What this project wants is to produce from already existing land so that we can meet food requirements for the country and of course improve livelihoods amongst the small-scale farmers. The project attends to 3 components basically. It has the research and in development component that is currently implemented by CIMIT, of course in collaboration with the Zambia Agricultural Research Institute, where we are trying to find what are the best ways of intensifying agricultural systems within the 3 agroecological regions of the country. The other one is the promotion. This is now where you take those sustainable intensification practices that you are getting from the research component that you can now promote so that farmers can use those sustainable intensification practices and produce more. And then the 3rd component is enabling a conducive environment, and that is at policy level with regard to how this sustainable intensification can be now implemented within the Ministry of Agriculture.
SIFAZ is conducting research on various soil improvement options on farmer-managed fields called mother trials. Soil improvement practices under trial are conservation tillage through basins and rip lines, zero tillage or direct seeding, raised beds, permanent ridges, crop rotations, and intercropping.
We haven't done any work in terms of non-tillage practices. So we're trying to find out, we're trying to establish whether it's possible that farmers are able to plant their cassava on the flat without tilling the land. Because you see, there are also other benefits, because there's less labor, because normally they will probably just rid off the fields if the fields has got weeds. They will spray with the herbicide and they will plant. So we want to establish whether it's possible to plant cassava on a non-tilled land.
The importance of this trial is to see if these practices will be beneficial to the farmers in terms of the labor saving and also in terms of the yield for the different crops, as well as for soil fertility improvement, as this will help to contribute to increased production and productivity. The farmers have very much welcomed the project, the SIFAZ project in the province. They've really appreciated the practices that are being taught by the Ministry of Agriculture staff as well as SIFAZ. They really appreciate the sustainable intensification practices, especially the planting on flat, because they are able to get more yield, which is yet to be validated with the crops that are being grown on the ridges. Just from the visibility of the crops that we are seeing here, we have seen that generally the crops planted on flat are more compared to the crop that is planted on ridges.
Akale twalelime mpute shikulu nombo busombo shitabwaleba bwino nombo mukulimo tutuputo tunono emukutila imbuto twakula sombola paka place fyaka nono shingi pantu tuputa tuleli motu nono kanshi enshila imoyo basifazi bale tukoseleshia ukutio tulebo mfia.
Some farmers involved in managing mother trials have adopted some practices in their own fields, which are referred to as baby trials.
Ilio balesambirira kuma mother trial kulya baishiretemu apo obulimi bwa cassava nangutute na imbalala ukusankanya chapamo. Then umulandu basalire echi nipa mulandu wakutila bamweno kutila imbalala kuno kunchende shira chitabu ino sana nga babika pamo na tute mkwai. Obulimi bwa tute pamputa bulemoneka bwino kuchila apa flat fem kwai. So lelo nga kusala teti basale palinda akaipantu tatulafika kukusombola. Kanshi pano maya kusombola nga bamonoko obusombo shibwinga wama misango wa bulimi benga sala pokula chitamkwai.
The slash and burn farming system, commonly known as Chitemene system, is widely practiced in Northern Province. The rationale is that when soil fertility starts declining, a farmer can open up virgin fertile land for cultivation. However, this practice is environmentally destructive and contributes to deforestation, later on climate change. Sustainable intensification practices being promoted by SIFAZ enable farmers to sustainably produce crops on the same piece of land.
This project is very important in our district as Kasama. I think the reason being that we usually have traditional farming systems which are there, which are not sustainable. One of them being Chitemene slash and burn system, where farmers they do shifting cultivation. So they will, and also that is contributing to destruction of forestry and opening up unnecessary of new land. So with the coming of SIFAZ, we feel that this project is important because it can help address these issues of rapid land degradation because of the current farming practices which are being practiced with our farmers, and so we feel that also that is what is contributing to low crop production. So with the SIFAZ, which is basically aiming at promoting sustainable intensification practices, which mainly is focusing on soil fertility improvement, then that will enable farmers to produce, crops on the same piece of land for a number of years without basically shifting from that place to go to another place and continue opening up new lands.
Northern Province lies in agroecological zone 3, which is a high rainfall region. Minimum tillage, which is a water conservation practice involving making of planting basins and riplines, is not recommended in this region as it leads to waterlogging. SIFAZ is instead promoting the use of permanent raised beds or ridges to minimize soil disturbance and maximize use of residual nutrients from previous crops.
Kunonga mwaroresha ku Northern Province infla ila loka sana. So turechita research pakwe bati imila mbere infla ya loka limbinga tuatumpula kwemputa limbikuti chatuafu pamulandu wanfulo ukuikalila menshi mkwai. Then pama permanent ridges turefu atusambili lepo ukulime mputesha permanent nangu isha kuikalila isha kuisa mkula vyalafye limbi leba tetire kosa mkwai. Then pamputeshisha kulima chila mwaka turefu anashena tumone busho kuli mununa po chila mwaka busha mataba yakalafu maposhani.
Here in Northern Province we have a lot of rains, so raised beds, they are helping us to prevent waterlogging. So we are trying to compare between a permanent ridge and a raised bed. They are permanent raised beds, we don't disturb them at all. We just mound and then we plant.
Lydia Nchileshe of Mcheleka Agricultural Camp in Luingu District is a lead farmer under SIFAZ. She has a 1 Lima demonstration field which she uses to mentor her follower farmers in sustainable intensification practices. She has adopted small permanent ridges to minimize soil disturbance, which cause loss of nutrient-rich topsoil through erosion. Ms. Chileshe plants maize in rotation with beans to enhance soil fertility and reduce pests and diseases.
Ubulimi wabasifazi bayishire tusambilisha. So naishire shoku nanje shefe basifazi balima. Nalisabula pe apa nalishimawire after nashima and then napanga po imputa. Imputa nalepanga ma 90 centimeters. Nalisabula imputa nabika po amataba. Ero nafumishe po amataba, shabwekeshe po amatabawe. Nalisabula chishi chakula narabwekesha po naishire bula legumes. Eo nabika pe bara. Nalisabwekesha po kulima po beans. Beans bamona pali nwebara. Yali amataba nafumishe po soya beans. Nabwekeshe po amataba. Difference po ili po wafunya soya beans ufilio kubika po ifya pala amataba na yakula yale moneka yasuma musango wako batumushiri ulewekera mwibara taulepwa. So pano nalafunya po beans ufile mbike po amataba ero pala nalafunya amataba nalawekesha po imbalala.
SIFAZ is present in Nkema and Kaoma districts of Western Province, which fall in agroecological region 2B. Here, the project recommends water conservation practices as the rains are less compared to Northern Province. Conservation tillage enhance water retention and minimize soil erosion. Some SIFAZ beneficiary farmers have adopted planting basins and riplines to build climate resilience and conserve their soils.
Naezanga unachwalo conservation. Mbonya nikaofela kia conservation ya kuripinga. Ma conservation farming ni fumana wate nubunde wakubukeleza mubu usike wasampuka kulimanga plowing mubu waka wasampuka mili charano zaba zemaswe.
Ripping irasunga ko amenshi in case limbikwa ise chirara. Tulotumala inzi ngachako bati baripinga. kula akamulaini kalengirako panshi olo mwapose embewu yenu ilya tetsikwate problem nga chako bati kwaise echilala amenshi yalasungwa panshi mtonshi ulasungikwa muli ripping
inachama reprime instead ya 90 cm per line na chita jos bibweza pa 60 cm ndawa ni soybean inachita reduce ndawa ya mukachita 90 cm ku soybean harvest zankara ingono kushanga mzashanga seed ingono ni randi ikuru but ni 3 hectares but mukachita reduce chosa pa 90 mzashanga seed ya mbili mu randi ngono.
So hapa chani land ya mnashanga po chani soybeans ni kulu bwana.
Ni 3 hectares but inashanga seed ya 4 hectares.
Intercropping maximizes land use by growing two complementary crops on the same piece of land. SIFAZ is promoting evidence-based intercrops to enhance soil fertility and increase yields. Intercropping also suppresses weed growth as a result of maximum soil cover by two crops.
We are encouraging the farmers also to practice what we are calling intercropping. Now, under intercropping, we are encouraging the farmers to mix the leguminous crops and also the field crops. For example, we have maize, because that is the the staple food for people here, and also beans, which is also overgrown in Luwingu district. So you find that they have to intercrop the two, so that if there is no nitrogen in the soil, then the leguminous crops will fix nitrogen in the soil.
Farmers are encouraged to diversify their crop production to avoid total crop failure associated with climate change. Diversification encourages crop rotation. The cereal legume rotation is the most common. The practice sustainably improves soil fertility and breaks the life cycle of pests, consequently reducing disease instances. Legumes like groundnuts have nodules, an important attribute in soil health improvement.
Crop rotation ila fokutushishi pantu mudomo twavyala ma legumes. Ukankala bwako pale pote inga twavyala ma legumes. Yala ma legumes yala shenshi umufundo kwe mumushili. So tatunga vyala futi ama legumes umwaka umbi. Pantu totushishi tuchili kwe mwivala liya. So tulesa mukuwika mo imbuto ishapu sanako kuma legumes yalia.
One of the advantages that groundnut plays in terms of soil fertility management is the issue of nitrogen fixation, because it's able to fix the nitrogen into the soil. So every after one season, the farmer is able to crop rotate. So the next crop that will come in will be able to benefit from that nitrogen. And as much as we are encouraging the farmers to use the synthetic fertilizers, we are also promoting integrated soil fertility management. For farmers who are able to access manure or compost, we're encouraging them to also apply to their soils, because we have been seeing of late that the productivity has been going down amongst most of our farmers. So once we promote the sustainable intensification practices, the benefits in terms of increase in yield or productivity have been seen.
Some farmers deem burning crop residues as an easier and faster method of land clearing. However, crop residues provide soil cover, which suppresses weed growth and prevents erosion. Additionally, crop residues enrich soils as they decompose.
Kabiri ifwe na mkulima mu mabala limbi kuti lidawasombola amataba fili efimipeti kupishama omulilo. Nombanda SIFAZ bale tukanyokwe bati takuli kulawo cha mabala. Pantu nishi mulele mushiri ulebe echicherekese. So nishi mukasango kutila ubusombo shipali ili anchende. Mbwabwelela panshi. Nomanga mulebula fili efimipeti mulefi bika fe muminkolwa muli amwini omofi yabolela. Emukutila nishi filele etaka ili ubukumu kumushiri. Ne fili mwafie nunga mwabyala mwakula sombola bwe.
Fertilizer provide nutrients to the crop. The standard application rate is 4 bags of basal fertilizer in 1 hectare. The same quantity applies for top dressing fertilizer. However, This measurement does not apply to all areas because of different soil types and varying nutrient content. Soil testing is important to determine inputs essential to improve soil fertility.
The farmers themselves, they don't even need to go to the lab. There are certain factors that we look at, and they'll be able to tell you that this soil is very fertile from the indigenous knowledge. For example, I want to tell you that here in Luwingu, when I just came to Luwingu, there is a road where you went to Mucheleka camp. When you were driving along Mucheleka camp, you saw there is that soil which is black in color. That soil, we call it organic soil. When you just see that organic soil, definitely you know that that soil is fertile. Okay? That is how to, when you look at that soil, it has more of organic materials in it. And the organic matter in the soil, that is the most critical part in terms of soil fertility. Then there is also another color of soil color that is very, very important to show that this soil is very fertile. There is what we call Mpongwe soil series. There is that soil which looks to be, is it brownish or reddish? That soil, when you look at it, like for Luwingu, we have it as you are going to Tungati. There is that kind of soil where sometimes our farmers, they have even testified that sometimes they don't even apply the fertilizer because the soil has all the nutrients and all the important soil characteristics that you need for the soil to be very fertile. Then also, when you look at certain vegetations, you'll be able to tell that this soil is very, very fertile. For example, Musangu tree, you'll find that that tree, if you find it in the bush or on the farm, it is an indication that that soil is very, very fertile.
Improving and sustaining soil fertility allows a farmer to continue cultivating the same piece of land but still record good yields. The promotion of different soil improvement options by sustainable intensification of smallholder farming systems in Zambia, SIFAZ project, will enhance soil fertility. Conservation and zero tillage, crop rotations and intercropping, green manures, cover crops, fertilizer trees, and residue retention are practices which enhance soil health and increase yields.